Welcome to Faith Chronicles, where we explore the unexpected and often surprising trends in religion. Today, we're diving into a phenomenon that's catching many off guard: the resurgence of Catholicism in modern America. Picture this: in a world dominated by screens, instant gratification, and ever-changing trends, an ancient faith is making a comeback. It's not a new app or a viral TikTok challenge. It's the Catholic Church, and it's attracting followers in ways that defy expectations. But why? What's driving this revival in a time when many predicted the decline of organized religion? That's what we're here to uncover. Now, let's talk numbers, because they tell a story that might surprise you. In France, a country often considered highly secular, the number of adult baptisms has nearly doubled. In 2015, there were 3,900 adult baptisms. Fast forward to 2024, and that number has skyrocketed to over 7,000. This isn't just a European phenomenon. It's happening right here in the United States. Take Texas, for example. The Diocese of Austin reported a 30% increase in adult confirmations over the past 5 years. In Alabama, the Archdiocese of Mobile has seen a steady rise in adult conversions, with numbers climbing year after year. And it's not just the Bible Belt. Even in more liberal states like Kansas, Catholic churches are reporting growth in adult membership. But here's what's really intriguing. It's not just about numbers. It's about who's joining. We're seeing young adults, many of whom grew up in non-religious households, actively seeking out the Catholic faith. Former skeptics, atheists, and agnostics are finding themselves drawn to Catholicism's rich traditions and teachings. One young convert from Texas, a former self-proclaimed atheist, shared, "I never thought I'd find myself in a church, let alone becoming Catholic. But there's a depth here that I couldn't find anywhere else." This trend isn't just a blip on the radar. It's a movement that's gaining momentum, challenging our assumptions about faith in the modern world. But what's driving this change? What are these seekers finding in Catholicism that they can't find elsewhere? As we delve deeper into this phenomenon, we'll explore the allure of ancient traditions in a fast-paced world, the search for meaning beyond materialism, and the power of a faith that calls for sacrifice and service. Stay with us as we unravel this fascinating trend that's reshaping the religious landscape of America. One of the most surprising aspects of this Catholic resurgence is the growing popularity of traditional practices, particularly the Latin Mass. You might think that in our fast-paced modern world, young people would be turned off by centuries-old rituals conducted in a language they don't understand. But you'd be wrong. In fact, attendance at Latin Masses across the United States has been steadily increasing, especially among millennials and Gen Z. The priestly fraternity of St. Peter, which specializes in the traditional Latin Mass, reported a 28% increase in Mass attendance from 2019 to 2021, even amidst the challenges of the pandemic. But why? What's drawing young Americans to these ancient rituals? For many, it's a sense of mystery and reverence. In a world where everything is instant and easily accessible, the Latin Mass offers something different, a glimpse into the transcendent. The incense, the Gregorian chant, the priest facing the altar, all of these elements create an atmosphere that many find deeply moving. Sarah, a 25-year-old convert from New York, explains it this way: "When I first attended a Latin Mass, I was completely lost. I didn't understand the words, but I felt something I had never experienced before. It was like stepping into another world, one that's existed for centuries. In our chaotic modern life, there's something incredibly grounding about participating in the same rituals that have been practiced for over 1,000 years. It's not just the Mass, though. Young Catholics are embracing other traditional practices as well. Eucharistic adoration, where believers spend time in silent prayer before the Blessed Sacrament, has seen a resurgence. Many parishes now offer perpetual adoration, and it's not uncommon to see young adults spending late nights in quiet contemplation. The Rosary, too, has found new life among younger Catholics. Rosary groups are popping up on college campuses, and social media is filled with young people sharing their experiences with this ancient form of prayer. John, a 30-year-old software engineer from California, shared his perspective. "I used to think Catholicism was outdated, but when I started exploring these traditional practices, I realized they offer something that our modern world often lacks: depth, continuity, and a connection to something greater than ourselves. In a world of constant change, there's comfort in these unchanging rituals." This embrace of tradition isn't about rejecting the modern world. Instead, many young Catholics see it as a way to find balance and meaning in their lives. They're not abandoning their smartphones or social media accounts. Rather, they're finding that these ancient practices provide a much-needed counterpoint to the often superficial nature of modern life. As one young priest put it, "The old is becoming new again." These young people aren't running from the modern world, they're looking for ways to live more fully within it. and they're finding that the wisdom and practices of the past have a lot to offer. But this trend raises some important questions. Is this just a passing phase, a temporary reaction to the uncertainties of our time? Or does it signal a deeper shift in how young people approach faith and spirituality? And how is the church responding to this unexpected interest in its most traditional elements? As we continue our exploration of the Catholic revival in America, we'll delve into these questions and more. Stay with us as we uncover the deeper reasons behind this search for meaning and how it's shaping the future of faith in our country. As we dig deeper into the Catholic resurgence, we uncover a profound truth. Many are turning to this ancient faith as a refuge from the chaos and emptiness of modern life in a world obsessed with material success, instant gratification, and self-fulfillment. People are finding that something crucial is missing. Let's face it, we live in a society that constantly tells us that happiness is just one purchase away, that success is measured by the size of our bank accounts or the number of followers on social media. But for many, especially young adults, this promise of fulfillment through materialism and self-focus has proven hollow. I had everything society told me I should want, says Michael, a 28-year-old former atheist from Seattle. A high-paying job, a nice apartment, the latest gadgets, but I felt empty inside. There was this gnawing sense that there had to be more to life than just accumulating stuff and chasing the next promotion. This sentiment isn't unique. A 2021 Pew Research study found that 55% of Americans say they often feel a sense of emptiness in their lives, with the percentage even higher among younger adults. In this context, Catholicism offers something radically different, a worldview that places meaning and purpose at the center of human existence. The Catholic faith presents a compelling alternative to the my-first culture. It teaches that true fulfillment comes not from self-indulgence, but from self-gift. It offers a coherent moral framework in a world where ethical boundaries seem increasingly blurred, and perhaps most importantly, it provides a sense of community and belonging in an age of increasing isolation and loneliness. For many converts, Catholicism serves as an anchor in turbulent times. The Church's teachings on human dignity, social justice, and the sanctity of life resonate with those seeking a more compassionate and just society. Its rich intellectual tradition, from Augustine to Aquinas, offers depth and substance to those thirsting for more than bite. Wisdom. Michael continues his story. When I first started exploring Catholicism, I was skeptical, but the more I learned, the more I realized that this faith addressed the big questions I'd been grappling with. Questions about meaning, morality, and the nature of reality itself. It wasn't about blind faith, but about a reasoned approach to understanding our place in the universe. This journey from skepticism to faith is a common thread among many recent converts. They describe a process of intellectual and spiritual exploration often sparked by an encounter with Catholic literature, philosophy, or simply a practicing Catholic who lived their faith authentically. What really struck me, Michael adds, was the Church's emphasis on human dignity and the common good. In a world that often seems to prioritize profit over people, the Catholic social teachings offered a refreshing perspective. It challenged me to think beyond myself and consider my responsibility to others and to society as a whole. But it's not just about finding answers to life's big questions. Many converts speak of experiencing a profound sense of peace and purpose that had eluded them in their previous lives. They describe feeling part of something larger than themselves, connected to a tradition that spans millennia and crosses cultural boundaries. As we reflect on these stories, we're left with some thought-provoking questions in our rapidly changing world. Can ancient faith traditions offer the stability and meaning that many are seeking? Is this turn towards Catholicism a rejection of modernity, or a way of finding balance within it? Asterisk. These questions lead us to our next exploration, the role of sacrifice and service in the Catholic faith, and how these countercultural concepts are attracting a new generation of believers. Stay with us as we delve deeper into this fascinating phenomenon that's reshaping America's spiritual landscape. In our exploration of the Catholic revival, we've uncovered a powerful attraction that sets this faith apart in our self-centered culture. The call to sacrifice and service. This isn't just about feel-good volunteering. It's about a radical commitment to others. That often comes at great personal cost. Let's start with two extraordinary examples that continue to inspire Catholics and non-Catholics alike: Father Damien and Saint Maximilian Kolbe. Father Damien, a 19th century Belgian priest, voluntarily exiled himself to the Hawaiian island of Molokai to serve a colony of lepers. Knowing full well the risks, he chose to live among the sick, providing not just spiritual comfort, but also building homes, churches, and even coffins. He eventually contracted leprosy himself, but continued his work until his death. His selfless dedication led to his canonization in 2009. Then there's Maximilian Kolbe, a Polish Franciscan friar who, during World War II, volunteered to take the place of a stranger condemned to death in Auschwitz. This man, Franciszek Gajanasek, had cried out in anguish about his family. Kolb, moved by compassion, stepped forward and offered his life instead. He endured 2 weeks of starvation before being executed, all the while leading his fellow prisoners in prayer. These stories of extreme sacrifice might seem distant from our everyday lives, but they exemplify a core tenet of Catholic teaching, that true fulfillment comes from giving of oneself for others. This spirit of sacrifice and service isn't just confined to history books. It's alive and well in Catholic service initiatives across America today. The Catholic Charities USA, for instance, serves millions each year, regardless of religious affiliation, providing food, shelter, and support to those in need. In 2022, alone, they served over 15 million people across the country. Then there's the St. Vincent de Paul Society, with over 100,000 trained volunteers in the U.S., making personal visits to homes, hospitals, and prisons to offer support and companionship. To those in need, their work embodies the Catholic principle of seeing Christ in every person, especially the most vulnerable. But let's hear from someone on the ground. Meet Sarah, a 32-year-old volunteer with Catholic Charities in Chicago. I started volunteering because I felt something was missing in my life, Sarah explains. I had a good job, great friends, but I felt empty. When I began working at our local soup kitchen, something changed. I saw the faces of the people we were helping, heard their stories. It wasn't just about giving out food. It was about recognizing their dignity as human beings. Sarah's experience reflects a broader trend. Many young Catholics speak of finding purpose and meaning through service. It's not just about feeling good. It's about living out their faith in tangible ways. There's something powerful about being part of a tradition that emphasizes caring for others, Sarah continues. It's countercultural in today's world. We're taught to look out for ourselves, to climb the career ladder. But here I am, spending my weekends serving meals to strangers. And you know what? It's the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. This emphasis on service isn't just attracting Catholics, it's drawing in converts too. Many speak of being impressed by the Church's long-standing commitment to social justice and charitable works. The impact of this service extends beyond those directly helped. Volunteers often report a profound change in their own lives. They describe a shift in perspective, a greater sense of gratitude, and a deeper understanding of their faith. It's one thing to hear about loving your neighbor in church, Sarah reflects. It's another to put it into practice. When you're face to face with someone who's struggling, when you choose to see their humanity despite their circumstances, it changes you. It makes the teachings real. This focus on sacrifice and service presents a stark contrast to the self-centered narratives often promoted in our culture. It offers a different path to fulfillment, one that looks outward rather than inward. As we consider this aspect of the Catholic revival, we're left with some compelling questions. In a world that often prioritizes self-interest, can this emphasis on service provide a much-needed corrective? How might this spirit of sacrifice shape not just individual lives, but our broader society? These questions lead us to our next exploration: how this countercultural movement is challenging modern assumptions and offering a different vision of the good life. Stay with us as we continue to unravel the complexities of this Catholic resurgence in America. As we delve deeper into the Catholic revival, we're confronted with a striking realization. This movement isn't just about faith, it's a full-blown rejection of much of modern culture. In an era where everything seems to be getting more homogenized, commercialized, and superficial, Catholicism is offering something radically different. Remember, the early 2000s? There was a sense of boundless optimism. The world felt fresh, colorful, and full of possibilities. Fast forward to today, and many people describe feeling stuck in a world that's bland, dull, and overwhelmingly corporate. It's a world where authenticity seems scarce, and depth is often sacrificed for the sake of broad appeal. Enter Catholicism, with its rich traditions, profound philosophy, and unwavering values. It stands in stark contrast to the ever-shifting sands of popular culture. It's not about being trendy or fitting in, it's about being grounded in something that transcends the temporary and speaks to the deepest parts of the human experience. One convert, a 29-year-old graphic designer from Los Angeles, puts it this way: I was tired of the superficiality, the constant pressure to reinvent myself to fit the latest trend. In Catholicism, I found something real, something that has stood the test of time. It doesn't bend to cultural whims or empty promises of self-fulfillment. It challenges me to grow, to think deeply, to confront the big questions of life. This search for authenticity and depth is a common thread among many new Catholics. They speak of finding in the Church a richness that's lacking in much of modern life. The liturgy, with its ancient rhythms and symbolism, offers a stark alternative. To the frenetic pace of contemporary culture, the Church's social teachings provide a coherent framework for engaging with complex issues. In contrast to the often simplistic narratives found in mainstream media, but here's where it gets really interesting. This countercultural movement isn't rejecting modern technology outright. Instead, it's using these tools to spread its message and build communities. Social media, often criticized for promoting shallow connections, has become a powerful vehicle for Catholic evangelism. Young Catholics are using platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube to share their faith, explain church teachings, and connect with others on similar spiritual journeys. Take, for example, the phenomenon of Catholic Twitter. This loose network of Catholic influencers, ranging from priests and nuns to laypeople, is engaging in vibrant discussions about faith, philosophy, and culture. They're not just preaching to the choir, they're engaging with skeptics, answering tough questions, and presenting Catholicism as an intellectually robust worldview. On Instagram, accounts dedicated to beautiful Catholic art and architecture are gaining massive followings. They're reminding people of the Church's long history as a patron of the arts and presenting a visual feast that stands in stark contrast to the often sterile aesthetics of modern life. Even TikTok, known for its short-form, often frivolous content, has become a space for Catholic evangelization. Young priests and laypeople are using the platform's snappy format to explain complex theological concepts, debunk myths about the Church, and show that living a life of faith can be joyful and fulfilling. This digital evangelization is having a real-world impact. Many converts report that their journey to Catholicism began with a chance encounter on social media, thought-provoking tweet, an inspiring Instagram post, or a YouTube video that made them see the faith in a new light. But it's not just about spreading the message. These online spaces are fostering genuine communities. In a world where many young people report feeling increasingly isolated, these digital Catholic communities offer a sense of belonging and shared purpose. One online community organizer shares, "We're spread across the country, but we pray together, study together, and support each other in our faith journeys." It's a lifeline for many of us, especially in areas where being Catholic might feel isolating. This blend of ancient tradition and modern technology is creating a unique cultural moment. It's a movement that honors the past while fully engaging with the present, offering a vision of life that's both timeless and timely. As we witness this countercultural Catholic revival, we're left with some profound questions. Can this movement provide the depth and meaning that many find lacking in modern life? How might it shape the broader cultural landscape in the years to come? These questions lead us to our next exploration: the challenges and controversies facing the Church, and how new converts are grappling with its complex history. Stay with us as we continue to unpack this fascinating phenomenon reshaping America's spiritual landscape. As we explore the Catholic revival in America, we can't ignore the elephant in the room: the Church's history of scandals and controversies. These issues have deeply shaken the faith of many and present significant challenges for new converts. The sexual abuse crisis, in particular, has cast a long shadow over the Church. The revelations of widespread abuse and subsequent cover-ups have caused immense pain and eroded trust in the institution. In 2018, a Pennsylvania grand jury report identified over 1,000 child victims, abused by hundreds of priests over 7 decades. This report, among others, sent shockwaves through the Catholic community and beyond. So how do new converts reconcile their faith with this troubled history? Many describe a process of wrestling with these difficult truths. Sarah, a recent convert from Boston, shares her perspective. "I was horrified by the abuse scandals. I almost walked away from the Church entirely. But then I realized that the actions of some don't negate the truth and beauty I've found in the faith. I'm committed to being part of the solution, pushing for transparency and accountability." This sentiment is echoed by many new Catholics. They distinguish between the eternal truths of the faith and the all-too-human failings of its leaders. They're often at the forefront of calls for reform within the Church, seeing their role as agents of positive change. The Church itself has taken steps to address these issues. Pope Francis has implemented new procedures for reporting abuse and holding church leaders accountable. In 2019, he abolished the pontifical secret in sexual abuse cases, allowing for greater transparency in church trials. While many argue, these steps don't go far enough. They represent a significant shift in the Church's approach to these issues. Beyond the abuse scandals, new converts often grapple with other aspects of the Church's complex history. The Inquisition, the Crusades, and instances of the Church aligning with oppressive political regimes are all part of a past that many find troubling. John, a history professor who converted to Catholicism in his 40s, offers this perspective. Every human institution has its dark chapters. What impressed me about Catholicism is its capacity for self-reflection and reform. The Church has, over centuries, acknowledged many of its failings and worked to rectify them. This ongoing process of renewal is actually part of what drew me to the faith. Indeed, the Church's efforts to adapt while maintaining its core beliefs is a delicate balancing act. The Second Vatican Council in the 1960s marked a significant moment of modernization, emphasizing greater engagement with the modern world while preserving essential doctrines. More recently, Pope Francis has called for a more inclusive Church, emphasizing mercy and compassion. His encyclical Laudato Si addressed climate change, linking care for the environment with Catholic social teaching. These efforts to engage with contemporary issues while upholding traditional beliefs have resonated with many new converts. However, this adaptation isn't without its critics. Some traditionalists argue that the Church is compromising too much, while progressives often feel change isn't happening fast enough. This tension between tradition and innovation is an ongoing challenge for the Church. As we consider these complex issues, we're confronted with profound questions. How can an ancient institution navigate the challenges of the modern world while staying true to its core beliefs? Can the Church effectively address its past failings while moving forward? And how do these challenges shape the experience of those newly embracing the faith? These questions lead us to our final exploration: the role of Catholic ambassadors in shaping perceptions of the faith. Stay with us as we examine how individual Catholics are working to change hearts and minds in their communities. As we near the conclusion of our exploration into the Catholic revival in America, we come to a crucial aspect of this movement: the role of individual Catholics as ambassadors of their faith. In a world often skeptical of organized religion, these everyday believers are becoming the most powerful witnesses to the transformative power of Catholicism. The concept isn't new. St. Francis of Assisi is often quoted as saying, "Preach the gospel at all times. When necessary, use words." This idea that actions speak louder than words is at the heart of what it means to be a Catholic ambassador in today's world. These ambassadors come from all walks of life. They're not just priests, nuns, or theologians. They're your neighbors, co-workers, and friends who live their faith in ways both big and small. Take, for example, Dr. Paul Farmer, who passed away in 2022. A devout Catholic farmer co-founded Partners in Health, an organization that has revolutionized community health care for the poor. His work in Haiti, Peru, and Rwanda was driven by his Catholic belief in the dignity of every human being. Farmer once said, "The idea that some lives matter less is the root of all that is wrong with the world." His life's work was a testament to his faithinaction.org. Consider Sister Norma Pimentel, named one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people in 2020, as the executive director of Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley. She has been a tireless advocate for migrants and refugees. Her work at the U.S.-Mexico border, providing shelter and support to those in need, embodies the Catholic call to welcome the stranger. These high-profile examples are inspiring, but it's the everyday acts of faith that often have the most immediate impact. It's the Catholic teacher who goes the extra mile for struggling students, the businessman who ensures fair wages and ethical practices, the neighbor who volunteers at a local soup kitchen. One young Catholic shared, "I realize that every interaction I have is an opportunity to share my faith, not through preaching, but through kindness, integrity, and compassion. It's changed how I approach everything: my work, my relationships, even how I interact with strangers." This approach to living the faith is particularly powerful in our current cultural climate. In an era of heightened skepticism towards institutions, including religious ones, personal authenticity carries significant weight. When people see faith lived out in meaningful ways, it can challenge their preconceptions and open them to considering the deeper truths of Catholicism. Moreover, this emphasis on personal witness aligns with a broader trend in American spirituality, a desire for lived experience over abstract belief. Many are drawn to Catholicism not just for its teachings, but for the tangible ways it shapes lives and communities. So, what does this mean for you, our viewers? Whether you're a lifelong Catholic, a recent convert, or someone simply curious about the faith, you have the opportunity to be an ambassador. It doesn't require grand gestures or public proclamations. It starts with small acts of kindness, with treating others with dignity and respect. It means standing up for justice and truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It involves being ready to explain your faith when asked, but always with gentleness and respect. As one Catholic put it, when we love with humility, when we serve with kindness, when we stand for what is true, that's when we change people's perceptions. That's when we truly live out our faith. This call to be ambassadors of the faith is both a challenge and an invitation. It's a challenge to live authentically, to align our actions with our beliefs. But it's also an invitation to be part of something greater than ourselves, to contribute to a movement that's quietly reshaping the spiritual landscape of America. As we conclude our exploration of the Catholic revival, we're left with a final question. How might our society be transformed if more people embraced this call to live their faith through action? The answer, it seems, is unfolding before our eyes in communities across the nation. As we wrap up our exploration of the Catholic revival in America, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've uncovered. We've seen a surprising surge in Catholic conversions, particularly among young adults and former skeptics. We've explored the appeal of ancient traditions in a fast-paced world, the search for meaning beyond materialism, and the power of a faith that calls for sacrifice and service. We've witnessed how Catholicism is offering a countercultural alternative to the often superficial nature of modern life, while simultaneously using modern tools like social media to spread its message. We've grappled with the Church's challenges and controversies, seeing how new converts reconcile with its complex history, and we've recognized the crucial role of individual Catholics as ambassadors of their faith, living out their beliefs through actions that speak louder than words. But the question remains, is this Catholic revival a lasting phenomenon, or just a passing trend? The answer, it seems, is still unfolding. What's clear is that this movement is tapping into a deep hunger for meaning, authenticity, and community in our society. It's offering a coherent worldview and a call to something greater than oneself, elements that many find lacking in secular culture, yet the Church faces significant challenges. It must continue to address its past failings, adapt to a rapidly changing world, and find ways to remain relevant while staying true to its core beliefs. The future of Catholicism in America may well depend on how it navigates these challenges. As we conclude, we leave you with this thought-provoking question. In a world that often prioritizes the temporary and the superficial, could this return to an ancient faith provide the depth and meaning that many are seeking? And if so, how might it reshape not just individual lives, but our broader society? The answers to these questions are being written right now, in parishes, communities, and individual hearts across America. Whatever your personal beliefs, this Catholic revival is a phenomenon worth watching, as it continues to unfold and impact our cultural landscape. Thank you for joining us on Faith Chronicles, as we've explored this fascinating trend. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep exploring the complex tapestry of faith in America.